everyone. So today we are going to read part 7. My name is Book, an autobiography. It's a non-fiction and the author is John Agathe. This is the final part of this book. A Tale of Flames. I said earlier that I have lived to tell a tale of flames. Though you may find this part of my life disturbing, I will tell it all the same, for, as the saying goes, history sadly repeats itself. Let me take you back over 2000 years to ancient China, the very birthplace of paper and printing. There I was burned along with scholars who were buried beside me. The man who gave the orders was the same emperor who built the famous wall that stretches 5,000 miles and more on China's border. Little did he know that imagination has no walls, and that while he was building a great wall, I, Book, was building great bridges between one mind and another. And isn't it ironic that I was also burned by people who, through their religious faith, have been called people of the book? Believe me, I have been destroyed by hands that considered themselves holy. They threw me to the flames as they would later throw women whose wisdom was beyond theirs and whom they call witches. In the Andean highlands of South America in the 16th century, was I not burned by Spanish priests? They couldn't understand Mayan pictograph, and what they did not understand, they considered dangerous. During the Second World War, was I not burned by Nazis in the Europe's Germany? The very place that had seen the light of Gutenberg's movable type. Wherever they burn books, they will also, in the end, burn humanity. And was I not burnt along with over millions others when Serbian soldiers set fire to the National Library of Sarajevo in 1992? Anyone who tried to save us risked being shot. And while the flames of war were rising in Iraq, was not Baghdad's ancient library also burning? There, between those great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, believed by many to be the cradle of early writing, my blackened pages blew in the wind. Wherever there is book, there you will find the shadow of burning. And when I think of such acts, although I myself am made of words, I am all of a sudden lost for words. I find at moments like these, our poem says it best. When the regime ordered that books with harmful knowledge should be publicly burned, and all around, oxen were forced to drag cartloads of books. To the pyre, one banished poet, one of the best discovered, studying the list of the burned, to his horror that his books had been forgotten, he hurried to his desk on wings of rage and wrote a letter to the power that be. "Burn me," he wrote, his pen flying Burn me. Don't do this to me. Don't pass me over. Have I not always told the truth in my books? And now I'm treated by you as a liar? I order you. Burn me. The Burning of Books by a German playwright and poet, Bertolt Brecht. Bertolt's words remind me that memory, like truth, will always find a witness. Somewhere in a dictator's dungeon, having no access to paper or even a pencil, some hand will carve thoughts on a loaf of bread, on a bar of soap, and from blank spaces, in soulless places, I will blossom into book, scattering my seeds across the shelves of imagination. The paper burns, but the words fly away. iBook, ebook. Are my pages a rustle of the past? Will I gather dust on the shelf? Am I book about to be forever ebook? Let me answer by beginning, as they say at the beginning. Do you believe in evolution? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But by ebook, you mean electronic book, right? Well, for me, when I think ebook, I'm thinking evolving book. You know, if Darwin were still around, he might at this minute be tracing my descent and giving my family tree odd names like Bucus papyrus and Bucus paper bacchus, and now Bucus electronicus. I don't need Darwin to tell me that my crumpleable skin is mutating onto a screen. But it gives a new twist to the process of natural selection, doesn't it? Now you can download me, upload me, toggle me on something called an iPad. Kindle me, Google me, even blog me. Makes the mind bloggle, doesn't it? How will I cope with this digital environment? Well, you know what I mean, like I am a survivor. I have witnessed countless mindless burnings. Do you really think a bit of cyberspace is going to scare me? The way I see it, I suppose, is rather philosophical. When I was made of papyrus, wasn't I vegetable? When I was made of ivory, wasn't I mineral? When I was made of sheepskin, wasn't I animal? I guess you could call me elemental. So here I come, digital. The other day, I happened to be on a table near a young ebook. It was one of those unexpected meetings. Anyway, you know what youth is like. There he was, making his flickering screen prance up and down, showing off what he called his hypertext. So I said, better not get too hyper, because when your battery needs charging, you will come crashing down, won't you? That didn't go down too well. Now, don't get me wrong. I have lots of friends who happen to be ebooks. They tell me they're saving the rainforest by saving papers, and I can't argue with that. They also say that readers with certain physical disabilities find it easier to thumb a menu button than thumb my pages. That's a point. There's a lot to be said for that. I can see where they are coming from. But I had to speak up for myself. I couldn't very well let ebook do all the talking, could I? So, to show that I was used to change, I pointed out that since Louis Braille's invention to help the blind to read, I have seen my pages seeded with tiny raised dots, making it possible for millions of blind people to read me. Don't talk to me about change, I said to ebook. I can tell you a thing or two about change. Haven't I witnessed centuries of it? From the birth of the alphabet to being handwritten with a stylus, then a quill, right through to that great leap into print. And long before your time, I was typed on a machine called typewriter. You weren't even a pixel in screen's twinkle. Writers thought typewriters were the bee's knees and loved to hear their words tap dancing through the space of the blank pages. Braille is knowledge and knowledge is power. So this was for the blind people. Then suddenly, out of the blue, I blurted, "Anyway, I smell nicer than you." Ebook looked puzzled. Smell? What exactly is smell? Do books smell? Where have you been, ebook? I said, of course. Books smell. Have you never heard the expression, nose is a book? And I told ebook about Roman times when my vellum smelt of saffron, and Victorian times when my paper smelt of pressed lavender and rose petals. I was quick to point out that not all books smell the same, of course, but a well-trained nose, like a keen wine taster, can pick up a hint of mature wood pulp tinged with vanilla, as if the forest itself had stamped me with the smell of ancient wisdom. I let ebook know in no uncertain terms that my old musty smell is a heartwarming perfume to the nose of book lovers. Rummaging in second-hand shops, car boot sales, charity shops, and what have you? Then I changed the subject and told him it was a shame he couldn't experience the thrills of being dog-eared. That shut him up. He said he had to love me and leave me because his battery needed charging. He also said something about having to be booted up. I didn't like the sound of that. Whatever, happened to a good flip of the pages with that thing called a thumb. But to this day, ebook and I are good friends, though every now and then I have to remind him that an old codex like me have been around for hundreds of years and I have no immediate plans to become extinct. Do you know that books smell like nutmeg or some spice from foreign land? I loved to smell them when I was a boy. Reading off the screen is still vastly inferior to reading off paper. Even I, who have these expensive screens and fancy myself as a pioneer of this web lifestyle, when it comes to something over about 4 or 5 pages, I print it out and I like to have it to carry around with me and annotate. And it's quite hard for technology to match that level of usability. This is said by none other than Bill Gates, former Microsoft chairman. So you see, this is the power of the book and the papers. I, book, can't very well tell you the story of my life without saying a thank you from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of my spine to all the people who make me and care for me. To bibliographies for collecting me, bookbinders for binding me, booksellers for selling me, designers for designing me, editors for editing me, illustrators for illustrating me, librarians for lending me, printers for printing me, readers for reading me, reviewers for reviewing me. It could be good or bad. Translators for translating me, writers for writing me. You will notice that I mention writers last. No disrespect. That's what happens when you say things in what's called alphabetical order. Next time I will say authors instead of writers. So authors come first. But they won't be too upset. Writers know that somewhere it is written that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. What more can I say, dear reader, except this: I am there for you. You know where to find me. Just ask for the book. So this is the end of part 7 as well as end of this book. I hope you all enjoyed this book as much as I enjoyed reading it for you all. Keep reading, guys. Thank you and stay blessed.